Hi everybody, if you can just let me know if you can hear me, I would appreciate. I'm just trying to join you in the comments. I do apologize if you can hear that ticking sound. I'm not sure what's going on. My laptop's making a bit of a ticking sound, so we will just try to ignore it. So I'm just trying to join you in the comments so that I can see what everybody is saying. Ah, there. Hello everybody. Hello Natalie. Hello Alba. Hello Raksha. So we will give everybody a couple seconds to join. We won't do minutes because I think I've been trying to join you in the comments for quite some time. So while we're waiting, we'll just talk a little bit about the Secret Sale website. So if you have not heard about the Secret Sale website, it is a website that is run by Nexus Hub, and it has some amazing Cricut deals. So I have picked out two of my absolute favorites, and I just wanted to show them to you. Let me just grab them. So the first one is this reflective iron-on. So I think Ulrike did a project today, if I'm not mistaken, with one with using it, and this is gorgeous. So it is black, but as soon as the light shines on it, it's like a beautiful rainbow, reflective rainbow. So I absolutely love this one. And then my second favorite is this holographic iron-on mosaic. So I don't know if you can see that. I will just show you again when we change to the desk view, but this one is like these little dots. It is absolutely gorgeous. So I will just show you these again. Hello to everybody that is just joining. So tonight we are going to be making a little Infusible Ink makeup bag, and we're going to be making a matching shrink sheet tag to go with it. So I've chosen a very simple shrink sheet tag, but you can do super intricate ones. You even get a printable shrink sheet. So I will run you through all of that. But to start, we are going to jump over to Design Space. So as always, before we start, this class is proudly sponsored by Cricut and Logitech. Okay, so we are in Design Space, and we are going to start with our design. So the first thing we're going to do, as always, is we are going to measure our canvas, which is going to be our makeup bag. So we're looking at 20 centimeters width. So let's just say new project, blank canvas. Oh, Caroline, thank you. I must admit, I also love my glasses. So thank you for noticing. Okay, so we're going to go to shapes. We're going to insert a square because we're working with a makeup bag. And our width is going to be 20 centimeters. We're going to unlock that, and we're going to change our height to 11.5. So I'm obviously measuring to just below the zip. So this is going to be 11.5. And there we have our canvas. So I'm just going to change this to a guide. And we're now going to look for a design for it. So I really love this But First lipstick, so I'm going to recreate that. You can obviously do whatever you want. So this is a two-phase project, if you will, class. It's a two-phase class. So we're going to be looking at how to do layered infusible ink the correct way, and then we're also going to be looking at shrink sheets, which are really awesome plastic. So it's like a semi-hard plastic. You can cut it on your Cricut machine, and then you put it in the oven, or you use a heat gun. So tonight we're going to be using a heat gun. I would suggest using the oven though. So for me personally, I found that I got more even results with the oven, and it takes 2 to 3 minutes at 160 to 180 degrees, and they come out beautiful. So what I found with the shrink sheets is that they shrink to plus minus 50% of their original size. So I will show you what we're going to do so that we can obviously get the correct size decal for it. Okay, so under our images we're going to look for lipstick. And there it is there. Okay, so when you're doing infusible ink, you should never press twice if the layers overlap. So if they don't overlap, then sure, you can press twice, but if the layers overlap, you should never press twice. And the reason for that is when you press your second layer, the first layer is going to continue to activate. So one of two things is going to happen. Either your design is going to burn, so your blacks will turn brown, your pinks might turn, a darker sort of pink, or where it overlaps, it's actually going to draw the color out of the first layer. So you're going to end up getting lines on it, especially if you have tape that covers any part of the design. That's going to leave like a softer spot in your design, and it's very noticeable. So you never want to press it twice. So we're just going to size this to what we want it to be. I think that's good. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I am going to ungroup this. And you can see on the side I have a white part, so I'm going to delete that. You can see that they've already done it as a, what is it called, knockout method. So I don't need to slice anything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select both of them, and I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to put that to the side. So what I'm going to do here is on my red one, I'm going to contour it, and I'm going to get rid of this part of the design. Am I clicking it? Oh my goodness. There we are. I think I need that, so let's apply that. Let's contour it again. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a template, if you will, using one of my colors. So one of my colors is going to be cut completely, the entire design, so the black and the red parts. I'm going to obviously be doing black and pink. So I'm creating a template, and the reason I'm creating a template is that once you weed away the parts that you don't want, you'll actually see there's a little indent on the backing, and it's going to show you exactly where you need to put your pieces, and it just becomes a lot easier to try and fit it all together. So I do suggest doing this with everything that you do. Also, you are going to need at least one backing piece that is going to act as your whole template. So just to mention, if I am going a bit fast, if there's anything that you are confused about or you need a better explanation on, you can leave your questions in the comments. If I don't get to it, one of the lovely admins definitely will. Okay, so why am I deleting a certain part out of it? So this specific part of the design, and I will just show you once we're done, this specific part of the design where these lines meet, because the black and the red both go there, if I just attach these now, it's going to double cut, and then I risk having it cut completely through the backing. So we get rid of that, we say apply. Okay, so if you look at this design and you look at this design, what I'm seeing is that there is no space for the exclamation, but the exclamation is in white, so that's fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select both parts of this design, and we're going to attach it. So the reason we attach it and we don't weld it is that we still want each of the pieces to cut out individually. So I want to be able to remove the lips. Let me just zoom in so you can see. So if I welded it, where the lips meet the outside of the lipstick, it would be a solid piece. It would cut down and up. It wouldn't cut through. Because I'm attaching it, it's still going to cut out each element individually, and I will be able to remove these lips and replace it with the red or the pink ones. Okay, so let's zoom out again. Okay, so we have our one layer that we're going to be working with, and then we're going to cut this. We're going to be using pink, not red. And then I can get rid of this one. So you can see that I have obviously left everything, everywhere that the pink's going to be. Sorry, I'm just trying to show you. Everywhere that the pink is going to be is still there. So the black is going to be my template layer. I'm going to take out the pieces that I don't want, and then I'm going to slot these ones in. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create our little keyring. And to do that, we're going to look for XOXO. So what I love about this is that you can have a shaped keyring that perfectly matches whatever you're making. So I had a friend who used to make crocheted items, and then she would make a matching tag to go with it, which I thought was such a cute and special effect. And then she would make shirts, and then she would have the exact decal that she has on the shirt as a little miniature keyring that goes with it. And I think it just adds such a personal touch to it, and I absolutely love it. So another thing for the people that do crochet, a lot of the time they want to actually, I don't know if sew on is the right wording to use, but they actually want to like have a little thing that they can sew onto their crocheted piece. So it'll have a hole on either side, and then they will sort of sew that onto the piece, and that'll be the tag. So this is another lovely way to do that. Okay, so we're just going to look for our XOXO. I don't think it's any of these. That was this one. And you can see if I drop down, it is separate pieces, so I don't need the lips. I just need the XOXO. So we're just going to size that down. We're going to give it an offset. So remember, a couple things in Design Space have changed. So once you have selected your item, you can just click on the little edit or the little pen in the top corner, and that's going to open up all of your options for you. So we're going to put an offset. Sorry, let's just move this so you can see what's happening. Okay, you still can't see it there. Okay, let's put it up here, and we'll move this down here. Okay, now we can see the offset. So we want to have quite a nice offset, but we obviously don't want it to be too big, because then it kind of defeats the object. So we're just going to make it a little smaller. I think that's good. And I'm just going by eye. There's no specific offset amount that you have to use. Just go with what looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a little loop. So if your design will allow for a punched hole, you can do that. You can punch a hole into it directly. But if I look at this one specifically, there's not going to be space for me to actually create a nice hole using a punch. So I'm going to make the hole in Design Space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate. No, let's not duplicate. Let's use offset again. So this time we're going to add a negative offset. So we're going to say minus 0.2, and let's have a look. So that's too thin. So what I'm thinking about when I'm creating this hole is once it's shrunken down, I want it to have enough thickness that it's not just going to snap. No. So we go a lot bigger. Let's go 8. I guess that's good. So we're going to go minus 0.8. So we're going to select both of those. We're going to say slice so that it creates our little hole for us. And then we're going to shrink this down. That is a bit thin. So to counteract, I'm going to add now positive offset. Nope, that's too big. So maybe start with the size that you want to work with. That can work. Okay, so I think that's good. So let's just zoom in so it's a bit easier for me to, oopsie. I think that's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my offset of my XOXO and the circle, select both of them, and I'm going to weld them. And there you can see I have a cute little template. Now I need to make it approximately double the size compared to what I want my end product to be. So for this, I'm going to go with a 10 centimeter width, so that the end product is going to be approximately 5 centimeters. Okay, so we're not going to size this and we're not going to cut this just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that. And the reason for that is I don't want to cut it and then once we've shrunk it, then the sizing changes. So I'm going to shrink everything down. I'm going to measure that, and then I will come back, I will size my decal, and then I will cut it. So if you were doing something like this for, let's say, your crochet or your t-shirts or bags or whatever it is you wanted to do, if you were doing them in bulk, you could shrink all of your pieces down and then come back and cut all of your pieces. It's completely up to you, obviously. And then also just remember that each different brand of shrink sheets will shrink differently. So where mine shrinks approximately 50%, yours might be different. So in terms of where you can find shrink sheets, if you just give it a Google search, I would say, you know, try different places. What works for me might not work for you. So just do your own research, and I'm sure you will find some really cool ones. Okay, so I think we are good to go. So we are going to say make it. Maybe to be safe, we should save that. Okay, we're going to put our machine on. Everything is going to be on matte. Okay, so because we are working with Infusible ink, we want to mirror this. This is going to be our shrink sheet, so to save space, I'm just going to straighten it out a bit. I think to be on the safe side, I'm also going to duplicate this so that I can make two just in case. Okay, so Infusible ink, we are going to mirror that. These, we're just going to straighten them out a bit so that we save a bit of space, and then we're going to mirror this, and then we're good to go. So we will start with the shrink sheet. I just want to show you. Let's connect to the machine. We are connected. So we are going to look for plastic, oopsie. So we're going to be using plastic packaging. This is going to call for the deep point blade, and I'm going to use more pressure. So it is possible to cut this with other machines. It's just going to take a lot more passes. And something that I have shown in the past is how to create a custom cut setting. So if you're using an Explore, well, an Explore takes a deep point blade, but if you don't have one, you're just going to have to create a custom setting using more or less the same pressure, and obviously more passes. So let us switch over. Okay, so that's very much in the way. Okay, so I just want to show you quickly in the better camera. This is the holographic iron-on. This is the mosaic one, and this is, you can see the rainbow already through it. How absolutely stunning is that? So these are available on the Secret Sale website. It's www.secretsale.co.za. If you have not checked it out, you definitely should. They have some cool giveaways. There's a spin the wheel thing where you can get discounts, so it's really, really worth it. Okay, so I'm going to be using the strong grip mat for our plastic wrap. Plastic shrink sheet, that's it. Okay, so this is what shrink sheet is. It has a smooth, like, shiny side, and then it has more of a matte side. So it is literally just, it's almost like acetate, I think that's what it is, but it has the ability to shrink. So because we are having or using a lot of cut pressure, I'm going to be using my strong grip mat, and that's just going to make sure that it doesn't slide everywhere. And your brayer is always your best friend with these things. So if you've just started out and you are not sure of all of the blades, this is the deep point blade. So the deep point blade has a black housing, and it comes out a lot further than your fine point blade. So you cannot interchange the actual blades. You have to use this housing for that blade. Okay. So we're on the plastic packaging. I've set it to more pressure, and we are going to just double check that we're not over. Yep. And we're going to let that cut. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be using once that is cut is the cabbage rose patterns. I'm going to be using the pink. You can obviously use whatever color you have. You don't have to use pink. If you have red, you can use red. If you want to do blue, you could completely do that. And then I'm going to be using some of the black Infusible ink. And these are all offcuts. They're not very neat, but they will work. So on the side, I do have my Cricut Easy Press 3. I'm using the 12 by 10 today. If you have a Cricut Easy Press, then you will know that you actually get a heat app, and that will tell you exactly how much time and what temperature is required for each application. So I'm going to be using 190 degrees for 45 seconds for mine today. So that's what I used when I was doing the class visual, and it worked perfectly, so that's what I'm going to do. One of the nice things about the Cricut Heat app is that you can actually search all of the stuff from your phone, so you can put in that you are using a sublimation or an Infusible ink ready makeup bag, so if it's whatever material, polyester I would assume, and you're using Infusible ink, and it will actually send those settings to the press, so it's very, very easy. Candace says she just got the deep point. It was a delayed purchase. So I think the deep point was one of the first blades that I got, and actually landed up being one of the ones that I used the least. But if there's something specific that you want to do with it, then it is definitely a good purchase. Yeah, there's been many projects along the way that I've needed it for, so I am quite happy with it. Claudia says she needs the Cabbage Rose Infusible ink sheets. Yes, you do. So this is honestly one of my favorite Infusible inks, and I unfortunately think it's been out of stock for a while. So the pattern is this beautiful Cabbage Rose pattern. It is absolutely stunning. So I think I used it for one thing. And then I've kind of just been hoarding it because it's so beautiful, and I don't want it to be finished. So I can see here this has cut, a little piece has come out, so we can unload that, make sure there's all the dust is off. Okay, and then like you would anything else, you're just going to flip your mat. I think a brand new strong grip was probably a little bit dramatic, but it's fine. Oh goodness. Now I'm killing your ears, sorry. Okay, let's move that. So while we're talking about Infusible ink, and obviously we're going to be working with it, so we shared a tip today, and that tip was inspired by Caroline's class, where she did the Infusible ink poster, I think it was. I could be mistaken. She was actually using the Infusible ink pens and adding some water, and she was like giving it a beautiful watercolor effect. So you can do the same thing with your Infusible ink sheets. So if you haven't seen that tip, you should definitely go and check it out. Okay, so we have our little shrink sheet pieces. After much drama, we're just going to cover up the mat. Okay, now we're going to get to cutting our Infusible ink. I completely forgot about that. So Zelda asked who is looking forward to the festive craft along. So if you haven't heard about that, it is, I think, 10 days. I could be wrong. It's a lot of days of live classes and projects being shared with step-by-step instructions and challenges, and it's just going to be so much fun. So if you haven't seen that, you should go and have a look. Kim shared the event. Lots of fun. So for the Infusible Ink, I'm going to be using the Infusible Ink transfer sheet setting, and I'm going to be switching back to my fine point blade. So just a piece of advice, your machine can't tell the difference between your fine point and your deep point blade, so don't forget to change it. So I'm just having a look here. This is, I need at least 18 centimeters. So I'm just going to see if I can do it this way. Okay. Just double checking that everything's mirrored, all is good, and then we're going to pop that in. 12 days, the 12 days of Christmas, of course, that's the thing, 12 days, I get that. So I've seen some of the projects, and all I can say is you are in for a treat. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so we're just going to let this cut quickly, and then we will let the next one cut, and while the next one is cutting, because I think that'll be a little bit longer, then we will do the shrinking. So like I said, I'm going to be using a heat gun. I will warn you just before I start with it. And if you have one of these old packaging tape inners, it is very, very helpful. So for the shrinking part, I'm going to be using one of these. I'm going to be using a flat heat-proof surface, and for that it is my coaster. And then obviously I'm going to be using my heat gun. Zelda says she's looking forward to Kim's project, and I must say I am too. It's a surprise project, we haven't seen it yet, so we are super, super excited. There's my scissors. So we're just going to cut this. Why do I feel like I've made this way too big? So I'm just double checking. Nope, that's good. Okay, we're going to set that aside. And then we're going to do the black. Okay. Okay, so Kim says that she made chocolate wrappers for the first time this week. If you have not made chocolate wrappers, Sarah did an awesome class on how to do them, so you should definitely go and have a look at that. I know most of the people that are here have been to these classes before and they know how it goes, but I'm hoping there are some newbies, so if you missed any classes, you can always go back and watch them on the Cricut South Africa YouTube channel. They're all there, they're all available. So let's just let that cut. I am giggling quite a bit. Everybody wants to know what Kim has up her sleeve. Okay, so I think I should let this cut so that we don't get distracted in the shrinking process. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm just going to weed away the little pieces on the inside that I don't need. So one of the nice things about Infusible Ink is you can literally weed it with your fingers. You don't need a weeding tool. What I do like to do is when I am working with multiple layers and I need to put it all together, then I like to use my tweezers just to pick up the pieces and place them. So I'm seeing in the comments that Kim says she is not making anything and that myself and Zelda are not telling the truth. I shall reserve comments. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to put the heat press on. I'm going to set my time and my temperature. So my temperature I am setting to 195, and I'm going to do that for, did I say 45 seconds? Let's do 190, and we're going to do it for 45 seconds. Okay. So you should always test your cut before you unload. I've obviously done this cut quite recently, so I know that my settings are good. And always remember that the settings that I use, or that any of us use in the class, are the settings that work well for us. So they are just recommended settings, and you should always do a test cut before you dive in. Okay, so we're just going to quickly weed this. So I know I did say we would jump over, but I'm thinking if we can get this out the way, then we can put all of our focus onto our shrinking. And I know that's what most of you have come for. So I'm just trying to get this corner piece. There we are. And you can see it's quite easy to weed. Always just be careful of your little pieces. So you can see as I'm weeding, I'm going sort of with the cuts. So I'm not just pulling straight off, I'm moving up and down, and I'm kind of maneuvering it in between my cuts. And one of the things you've got to remember about Infusible Ink, if you've never worked with it before, is it is very much a cardstock. So you can't go with super thin cuts. What will happen is it will actually just shred, and you're not going to get those nice beautiful crisp lines. So this does not need to be thrown away. This can be kept, and you can go and have a look at the Infusible Ink hack, and you can actually use your little offcuts for that. Okay. So we're just making sure we don't lose any pieces that we need. So Mumtaz says she bought the shrink sheet a while ago and been too afraid to use it. So I will just show you. It can be quite scary the first time. It actually it like curls up, and then you panic, but it does uncurl itself. And like I said, in the oven is a lot easier because you are going to get more consistent heat. Okay, so now we're going to take off the pieces that we want to replace with our pink. And again, it might feel like wastage, but all of these pieces that you don't use, you can use in your hack. Is that a thing? So I must just tell you a funny story. I'm not sure if you can see it on my machine, but while I was doing the visual today, I actually sprayed red Infusible Ink all over my machine, and I've only just noticed it. Okay, so we're just getting rid of all of these pieces, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but I can actually see little indents, so I don't think you can see it because of the lighting, but I can see there's little indents where everything's supposed to go. So it's very small indents, but it's going to help you to place it. Okay, then we're going to take this and oopsie, we are going to place it. So I'm just using those little indents as a guide. And it does get quite hard, I'll be honest, with the super, super bright light. But we'll make it work. We'll make it work. So we're just going to move this one a little. Okay, so when you're taking it off, obviously just make sure that where there's pieces that run across, you grab it nicely and you don't tear it, like so. Oopsie. So another way that you can do it if you want to is you can weed out the parts and then you can slot these in like a puzzle piece and then weed out the outside. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. I just find this easier. So I see we're talking about Christmas awards and all sorts of exciting things. Let's see. That one's a bit skew. So I'm hoping after this class you will feel very comfortable with your shrink sheets and Infusible Ink. I'm looking forward to seeing lots of different projects using it, and I'm excited to see what everybody comes up with, to be honest. Because I think we all have so many different ideas, and I think that's one of the things that makes this community so beautiful, is everything that everybody adds to it. So on that note, we do currently have a challenge going. If you haven't joined the challenges before, what are you waiting for? They are so much fun and they're such a great way to challenge yourself, try some new skills, and just get out of that creative slump if you've been in one. Here we are. And our final one. Oh no, it's not our final one. That was my bad. Okay. Then we're just doing our little lipstick piece. Like so. Just slotting it in. And our final piece. Oh no, I don't know if you can hear that. We have a storm. I'm quite excited because we haven't had a storm for such a long time. Again, this is going to be used. It is not rubbish. It is not waste. So I'm just going to stick that over there for now. Let's just line this up nicely. Okay. So the last thing I need to do here is just make sure that this little piece is out. We don't want to forget to weed anything. That is the worst. Okay. Wow, that is quite an angry storm. I know you can hear it, Mum Taz. I know you definitely can hear it. Okay, so we're going to get our heat mat. We're going to get our cosmetic bag. And what I like to do is I've got one of these little pot holders that I use for crafting. So let's just move that chaos out the way. And I'm actually going to stick that in. And what that's going to do is it's going to puff up my bag slightly. And it's also going to save the back. So I know a lot of people have never had an issue, and that's great. I like to just be a little bit cautious. So I think that's good. So I don't want to go too close to the seam, and I don't want to go too close to the bottom. I kind of want to go in the middle. Okay. And then what I like to do, so this is my own extra step. You don't have to do it, but I like to add a little bit of heat resistant tape, and the reason for that is I've had it before where I lift the press and my design lifts up slightly and then touches down, and I actually get some ghosting, and that is horrible. Okay, so we just make sure this is in nicely, everything's good, and we're now going to press that. So I have my press set, and I'm going to avoid the zip, and I'm going to press that for 45 seconds. So you can't see just off screen, it's actually counting down for me, and then it's going to beep once it's done. Okay, gently lift that, and then going to, so you can see it's lifting already. Oopsie, we do have some ghosting, but that's completely fine. Just shake everything off. So you can see I did get some ghosting here, which is completely fine. I will fix that with a beautiful decal or something. So one of the things you can do is you can actually put normal vinyl onto this. So that is something that I've done. I think this might have created some uneven pressure, or I didn't press it enough. I probably didn't press it enough. So you've got to actually apply some pressure. There's a good tip. So what you can do with Infusible Ink is you can actually put normal vinyl on top of it. So why can you press normal vinyl onto it but you can't press another layer of Infusible Ink? The reason for that is if you press another layer of Infusible Ink, you're going to be doing it at the exact temperature that Infusible Ink needs to activate, and you're going to double activate it, and it's going to look horrible. If you put vinyl on, you're using a temperature that is much lower, and it's not going to activate it. So we're going to put this aside, and we're going to move on to our shrinking. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to be using the heat gun. It might get a little bit loud, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with it out of this. Once it starts getting smaller, you'll see that it starts to jump around, and that's when I'm going to use this, and I'll put it over it and it'll kind of keep it in there. So I'm going to turn the volume down slightly on my side so that it doesn't kill your ears when I put the heat gun on. I'm using a normal craft heat gun that we have used before in these classes. So you will see that it will start to curl up. You want to try and get even heat across it. When it curls up, don't panic, it will even itself out again, and you're going to have your flat object close by so that once you're done with the heat you can press it. Okay, so I'm just going to lower our volume here. Okay, so I don't know if you could see that, but what happens is it actually curls up. So that's what I lifted up to show you. It curls up and then it actually flattens itself out. So in the end, this is what you'll be left with. So one of the things that I said you need to watch out with when you're using a heat gun is that you can actually get these little pock marks in it. But if you're using something like a UV resin, then that doesn't matter because it's going to fill it anyway. So if you do this in the oven, you're going to have equal shrinkage and you're not going to get these little pock marks. So sorry, I did miss all of the comments. I just realized this last thing was about the what was it, the Christmas thing. So I did miss a lot of the comments. I do apologize for that. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to use this one because I am going to be using UV resin on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure. So on Design Space, I'm going to have a look at what the original, what do you call this thing, orientation was, and I'm going to measure it like that. So we're looking at about, I would say about 4.8. So now I go back and I unhide my original decal. I change it to, is it 4.8? Yeah. So I'm going to put it onto, let's just swap over so you can have a look. So now I'm sizing it how I want it on this. And then I want this to be 4.8. And that's going to ensure that the decal that I cut is going to be small enough that it fits onto our shrink sheet. So we can hide all of these. And now we're going to make this. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you heard that, but that was super loud. Can everyone hear me now? I'm just seeing she muted. Yeah, I just got such a fright from that storm. I'm so sorry. Okay, so now we're going to say continue. And I'm going to be using a foil vinyl. So one thing that I found is that the foil vinyl, it is very, very thick. So for this, I like to use the textured metallic setting. Textured metallic. And then I'm just going to add, no, I think normal. Let's add more pressure, just to be safe. Just to be safe. I'm so sorry, Sarah. Please do not drop your cake pop. I actually got such a fright with that. With that. It's thrown me off completely. Okay, so we're going back to our desk view. For this, I'm going to be using this gorgeous red adhesive foil. This is probably one of my best Cricut vinyls. I love, love, love the foils. So, I mean, yeah, it probably would have made sense for me to use a pink, but I just love the look of it. I think it's gorgeous. I'm so sorry, everybody. Shame. Kim says her dog's jumped. So it's been rumbling in the background the whole time, and I could hear that it was going to be a bad one, but that was completely unexpected. Completely unexpected. Okay, we can move that out of the way. Okay, and I am going to be using, should I know, let's use normal grip tape. I'm playing dangerous today. So I think it was actually Bianca who did some earrings the other day, I'm assuming using shrink sheets. and those were absolutely gorgeous. So if you need some more ideas on what you can make, go and have a look, because those were really, really cool. And I think it also just goes to show that you can go as intricate as you want. You can even make rings with these. So you saw when I lifted it up and it was still crinkled. Once you've done shrinking it all, instead of flattening it, what you're going to do is you're actually going to pick it up and curve it around something. So you can curve it around, I don't know, I wouldn't say your finger because it is a bit warm, but you get those ring sizer tool things that you can use. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands. So this is one of my favorite vinyls, but it is super hard to weed. I'll give it that much. Yeah, so Zelda says I'm adding some spice to the class with my sound effects. I was just checking once again if everybody is awake. By the reactions, I would say everybody is, so well done, you passed the test. Okay. And now it's dead quiet. Like, there's not even a rumble. It's absolutely dead quiet. It just had to throw a little tantrum, and now it's done. Oh, wait, there it is. So I'm just weeding these little pieces, and then we're good to go. Okay, let's see, what are we going to do? Okay, so we are just going to transfer this quickly. And I too am dramatic, just like the storm. I absolutely love my Excel scraper. So remember, when you are transferring, if it is not transferring nicely, you apply pressure and slide. I should have used the strong grip. This is good. No strong grip needed. So just a note as well, your strong grip tape is actually only for anything that has texture, so your textured metallics, your shimmer vinyls. It's not meant for your smooth vinyls like your foils, etc. So if you do use it for that, use it at your own risk. It is always questionable whether or not it's going to work, so just be aware of that. Okay, so we're going to put our XOXO. Okay. And then what I want to do, so you can see I'm not putting down the exclamation. I'm going to put that on its own, like so. And there I have a gorgeous keyring, so I'm not sure if you can see that. So I'm going to show you the comparison so that you can decide which way you want to do it. We don't have time to do... Where is it now? I've lost the bag. Oh no. I seem to have lost the bag that I was going to show you to compare. I am completely thrown off by that storm. So there's that. There it is. Okay, so this one has UV resin on it. We have done a class with the UV resin before, and then this one has no UV. So you can see there is a clear difference. And I personally like the UV resin look, but there's a lot of people that don't like it. So it's completely up to you which route you want to go. But they're pretty consistent, so I did both of these approximately 10 centimeters, and you can see there is only a slight variation in the size of it. So it's up to you which way you want to do it. Remember, it's completely I think the only limit is your imagination when it comes to these things. So see what you can do, test the waters. The worst thing that's going to happen is something is not going to work out 100% and you're going to learn from it. So I always say, when you don't get it right the first time, adapt, overcome, try something different. It's never truly a loss. You always gain something from it. So you learn something, or you find a better way to do it. There's always a win in it. So thank you very much for joining this class. I can't wait to see what everybody's going to be making with Infusible Ink and shrink sheets. I'm super excited for that. I hope you are all nicely awake with the storm, and I appreciate all of you. And I will see you all for the festive 12 days of, what is it, Craftmas, that thing. Thank you so much.